Hello, it's Jimmy here at O'Reilly's. I'm looking at a Mitsubishi ASX diesel. So it's this model car here. Okay, we're inside. Let's start it up. See what we got. Lots of anion beeps. Engine management lights on. So let's run some diagnostics. So we just need to find out why the engine light's on, and then we can start looking in that area. Okay, now we're going to go into MPI, which is the engine on this. Oh. Enter. Differential pressure sensor, VGT system high pressure. So VGT, variable geometry turbo. So it's got a turbo problem and DPF pressure problem. So let's go back. We'll read the data stream. See, just need to find a few of the items that I need to list, not that one. So just holding 3000 RPM, and we're looking at the live data. 21 psi for the boost pressure, 11.7 psi on the DPF. A little bit fiddly to get it sitting around the right revs there. We'll let go of the revs now. So 15 on the boost pressure, 3 psi on the differential pressure. So it's the target for the boost is slightly higher than it should be. Not much though. So let's turn the engine off. Right, just taking the 4 screws off for the engine cover, and we can now get that off. It seems to have got a slight bit of leakage around one of the injectors here. Not sure if you can see that. Have a look around. See if I can get a torch on there. It looks like you got some sellotape or duct tape on one of the boost pipes down there. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up this. It's a smoke machine. It's a smoke leak detector here from Launch. That's a part number 4 there. If you want to go on the website and order it, I can put a link to it on the video. So I don't really need to do this because I can physically see that there is some tape that's obviously fixed some sort of puncture hole down there. But we'll connect up the smoke machine just to show you what it looks like and how we can find leaks like this. And it's also a good idea to do the smoke test anyway, because we may have more than one leak. So just disconnected the air inlet pipe here, and we're just going to put the bladder in there and get it pumped up. So we just squeeze this, that'll inflate that bladder. Just to get a seal there. Now we can turn on the smoke. And once we start getting some smoke out of here, we can then connect it up to the bladder here. So I need to get that a little bit sealed a bit better. It's not sealing there. Okay, looks like we've got a leak coming from down here somewhere. Can't really see where at the minute. Okay, I've taken the airbox out, and it looks like, can't really get the camera in there good enough, but it looks like it's leaking from the exhaust manifold. Looks like the exhaust manifold's cracked, probably due to the high pressure and the high temperature. Okay, so just down here we've got the exhaust manifold. So can't see exactly, but it's either leaking from the exhaust manifold gasket or the actual exhaust manifold itself is cracked. Bit of a shame really, because that's going to be quite a big job. Now if it was 10 years ago, I'd say yeah, I'll do that job. But these days, as a mobile mechanic, I just don't think it's a viable thing to do to start getting involved with jobs this big. Um, Around about 6 years ago, I stopped getting involved with sort of big jobs like this, where stuff down the back needs to be taken out, or gearboxes, clutches, and that sort of stuff. It's a shame it wasn't just this leak here. We could have just replaced that pipe, cleaned the DPF, and would have been a nice little job to do. But I think I'm going to get this sent down to one of my friends who has got a lift and a garage, where we're going to have some proper time to take that off. The weather all this week has been raining non-stop. Don't want to start taking stuff like this half apart and then you start getting torrential rain. Right, well, I was going to say that's the end of the line here for me, because can't really finish the job. But customer has taken this out of the boot, and he's known about this turbo pipe problem for some time. But he should have got this pipe put on. He just been chucked in the boot. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this pipe on down there, clean the DPF down the back down there, and that's going to relieve some of the pressure. Hopefully that will make the car drive a little bit better for the time being. But he needs to, once this is done, sort of immediately really, this needs to be brought down and have the exhaust manifold gasket replaced, or the actual manifold itself. So what can happen when you get a blocked DPF is you'll get a lot of extra pressure down around the turbo and exhaust manifold area. Back pressure. When you get high pressure, you get high heat, and then it's got to find the weakest point somewhere. And unfortunately, that was down here, this gasket. So looks like the gasket's blown, but obviously, of course, it may have damaged the actual manifold itself. So we're going to clean out the DPF now, and we're going to replace this pipe. So that one's quite easy to reach. Next one is right down there. Probably just get a big long extension for that. Right, so that's the old pipe out. Okay, so that's the new boost hose on there. Just a couple of just one pipe and a couple of clips, so pretty simple. Okay, I've located the DPF pressure sensor, which is just down here. Now I can take off this bracket, and then you got another bolt there that's holding the pressure sensor on. But it looks like if I just get in the back down there, I should be able to just get the pipe off. Move the clip down. Just try and get hold of the pipe now and just disconnect it from the sensor. This is where we're going to use as a fill-up point. I'm going to use this. I'm going to fill the DPF with the cleaning fluid through this hose here. So just need to get a good grip on it. There we are. There, we've got that out. Now I'm going to use my winning formula of some deionized water and some of this Launch UK DPF cleaning fluid. Okay, so what that is 50% of this particle filter cleaning fluid, 50% water mix into the DPF gun here. Now we connect the gun there directly onto the hose, so that's going to come all the way back to the DPF gun. Now the hose from this runs back to the van, which is connected to the compressor. Now we're ready to pump the fluid in. Just squeeze the trigger, fill the DPF up. It's going directly in. Now once this is run out, we're going to start the engine up, and we'll fill another bottle and put it in while the engine's running. Okay, now that all of that fluid's in there, let's just let it sit for a few minutes. Now we're going to start the car up. Okay, we just started the vehicle up there, but it's stalled out again. So I think what's happening is, obviously you can see we had a high pressure on the DPF. Now we've put the fluid in there, the fluid starts breaking down the soot, and obviously temporarily that soot, as it breaks down, it causes even more of a blockage until it's actually pushed out. So let's try that again. See, it's starting to struggle there, and it just cuts out. The engine was shaking. Okay, just tried it a few more times there. Now it's looks like it's cleared enough just to keep itself running. So we can now just get some revs up, get that fluid pushed out, and the soot. We can see there now. Let me just get the. Obviously, the DPF pressure is on a minus rating because it's disconnected. We've still got the cleaning gun connected out there. Okay, now we're going to go back outside and we'll get some of the rest of the fluid back in. And you'll see a little bit of smoke there, just like that. It's not that much really, considering some cars, but it's not really warmed up yet. You can actually hear and feel the engine is struggling to idle there. It's shaking. So we're going to get the other rest of this fluid in while the engine's running. Ooh. Need to reconnect that. Too much pressure has blown the pipe off. Okay, we've got the sensor now connected back up. Got about 1.5 psi now. So we just got to wait until that smoke now disappears. Let that down to idle. So we've got 0 psi on idle. Let me just go to my normal reading, which is HPA. Millibars or HPA is exactly the same. So we've got 0 HPA. Just to compare what I normally do, hold it around 3000, and we now have 40 HPA. I can't remember what it was on before. I think it was around about 12 psi. I'd have to sort of do some maths to convert that. Now back out, just going to clear the codes, stop the engine, and then turn the ignition on, clear the codes, and then we just read them. There's no diagnostic codes. Now that manifold leak, and I just had a chat with a customer. I can smell, you can smell exhaust fumes inside the car, and he said, yeah, it's been like that for a fair while. Now, I don't advise anybody driving. If you can smell exhaust fumes or if you've got any sort of boost leaks, exhaust leaks, I don't advise you driving the car, just because, exhaust fumes aren't good for you and you can pass out. Now, I can notice a big difference in the noise of the engine. Sounds way smoother, and I can't hear that hissing noise anymore. There was a little bit of a hiss as you accelerated it. Engine definitely sounds and accelerates a lot smoother. Just a little recheck of the codes, make sure there's none. Yep. So that's it. So just putting the clips together here, and I noticed there's a little piece missing. Sometimes when we've got a little bit of drizzle, and I press record, it doesn't actually record, and I missed a little section there. So one of the codes on there was a low pressure DPF. Now I don't know why it's saying low pressure for DPF. That would indicate like either the pressure sensor is not working or one of the hoses to the pressure sensor is split. But I checked the hoses; they're not split. So I don't know why it's saying the pressure was low, but you never know. There's always been someone looking at the car before me. 9 times out of 10, every time I get to a car, someone else has been there before, and they figured out it's the DPF, and they just pass it on to someone who knows about it. So just leave it down to that. After the clean, we could see that the DPF pressure is working before and after. So looks like the pressure sensor is working, and there's no splits in the hoses. Only thing that could have happened is the hoses themselves can get blocked with soot, and then the pressure can drop. And then if that piece of soot dislodges, you then open the airway again, which then shows you the readings again on the DPF pressure sensor. So that would be an explanation for that. That's it, we're all finished, and we'll see you on the next video.